89.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
It's now time for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome to the One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. Well, Ryan, it's been 167 hours since I've been on. How was your week?
The week was good, my man. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. I went to a big darts tournament this weekend and got to see a lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while, and I got to see a lot of good darts. I'll be getting into that a little bit just to give some shout-outs to some of the people that did well this weekend. But we do have the Super Bowl coming up.
Yes, this is it, bud. This is the pinnacle. This is, for every man that's into sports, that loves football, that just loves, any of our four major sports. This is it right here. This is what people can't wait for, and I'm no different. I cannot wait for the Super Bowl, man.
I know people eat approximately as much as they do on Thanksgiving on Super Bowl Sunday, right?
That's what they say. They also say that the amount of wings that they eat, I don't have the number in front of me, but the amount of wings that people eat on Super Bowl Sunday is something that's astronomical.
I wonder what the price of wings are this week, I'm sure they went way up.
Yeah.
Well, in the spirit of the Super Bowl, I was listening to your show today. Could you tell everybody about your show?
Sure. It's called the Two Dumb Yinzers Show. It was originally a podcast. It turned into a streamcast, ultimately on YouTube. We are on every morning from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., and then the show that we do live every day, we upload over on Spotify on podcast form, and you can listen to it. It's a sports. It's a show that was really never about anything. It was a show that was just come as you are. And at the beginning, there was a lot of different kind of subjects. And if you go back and watch, I think you'd be very, very surprised and interested and just all that kind of fun stuff. But it is ultimately now a Pittsburgh sports show, and we love it. And every day, 11 o'clock, come hang out with us.
All right. So today's show, I was listening to today's show, and one of the subjects they went over where they had like a little trivia of the 57 Super Bowl losers.
Yes, sir.
So the teams that made it all the way, but Buffalo bailed it out somehow and did not win. Ryan, could you tell me, other than the two Steelers losses, some of your more memorable Super Bowls you watched and maybe you felt bad for a team or two?
I don't know if I could say that I've ever felt bad for another team. There's obviously times that I wanted a team to win for whatever reason, maybe because of the amount of championships they have is building up to what our Steelers have. Little things like that us people in Pittsburgh do. But, some of my more memorable moments, I think going back to as a kid, one of my favorite was the Refrigerator Perry.
Oh, yes.
46-10 over Bears over the Patriots in Super Bowl 20.
I won a punching bag for that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
My dad took me to his friends to watch the Super Bowl, and I was a huge Bears fan at that point just because I loved their defense. You know me, I'm Mr. Defense, and the fridge, right. Perry. My dad told me if I behaved, he'd get me a punching bag, like the big.
Okay, yeah.
And I behaved the whole Super Bowl.
Did you really? Yes. And you know what? When Dad wants to watch the Super Bowl, that's all we want. We just want you to shut up, and if we have to get you a punching bag, that's what's going to happen.
Right? Because I was born in '77, so that was what, 86, January '86. Yeah. So I would have been turning 9, so I was 8 years old.
Oh, you were a pest.
Well, yeah, I'm sure I was the worst. Okay, so one of my favorite Super Bowls of all time, and I don't remember the number, and I'm a huge Randy Moss fan, but I still was rooting for the Eli Manning-led New York Football Giants to take down the 18-0 New England Patriots.
Yeah. That was one of my least favorite seasons. I mean, of course, the Patriots were a team that destroyed our Steelers over the years. So to see that team go 18-0 and have an opportunity to go 19-0 and win every game, was not a big fan, but it was nice to see them lose. For 2 days of my life, I was Eli Manning fans. Maybe I could say that.
I can't stand Eli Manning, but for that evening, he was my man.
Yeah. And it took, both of those Super Bowl wins, it came down to him throwing a crazy pass down the field that probably shouldn't have been caught. So
sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right?
That's what they say, yes.
Now who else beat Tom Brady? What was it? Nick Foles. So Eli Manning twice and Nick Foles. So he has 3 losses. He's been there 10 times.
Yes.
And he has more Super Bowls than any franchise.
Yes.
God.
Unbelievable.
Tom Brady. I was listening to a different show, and somebody called up or tweeted into the show on some other station that I don't know why I was listening. But anyway, they said they had to live through the Tom Brady dynasty. They don't want to live through the Kansas City Chief Patrick Mahomes dynasty. And I kind of that kind of hit home.
It hits home hard because it sucks because those years take so long when it's not your team. And of course, Tom Brady, he didn't just have a decade. The Patriots didn't just have a decade. They had 2 whole decades, and it was ridiculous. And I can understand why you wouldn't want to go through that again. But, Brian, it is what it is. You got to look at the teams. Going back to what they say, the 60s was the Packers, the 70s was the Cowboys, 80s 49ers, 70s was the Steelers, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying. Niners was in the 90s. The Patriots for the next 2 decades. I mean, here we are, we're 2024. This team has a chance to win its 3rd Super Bowl in, 5 years? It's hard to say that this team isn't going to be the team of this decade, and I think it's just something we're going to have to deal with as long as Patrick Mahomes is healthy.
Right. And the 70s, we won 2 World Series, 4 Super Bowls, City of Champions.
They hated us.
You and I, we weren't old enough to know what was going on. We were born in the late 70s.
Yeah.
So during the 80s, we had to go watch Bubby Brister and Mark Malone play. That's what I remember.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing was, we didn't know any better. We just looked and we said, hey, these are our best players. We got Bubby Brister, and
Bubster.
Let's go do this. But
now, in 1995 / the 96 Super Bowl, the Pittsburgh Steelers made it to the Super Bowl and were big dogs to the Dallas Cowboys, who, if memory serves me correct, their offensive line was the first offensive line ever to have all 300-plus pounders on it and were just nasty.
Yeah, they were disgusting. I hated that too. You know what? They were, and I think they made a point during that Super Bowl to keep showing you all these graphics of how big that these guys were on the line.
I believe Greg Lloyd found out the hard way, though.
Yeah, he got tossed around like a rag doll. Greg Lloyd.
Yeah. A big mamma jamma got tossed around by those big boys. What about the loss to the Packers? What's your memory on that?
You know what? I've already had my first Steeler loss at that point, so it didn't hit as hard. And I had
plus we were dogs.
And we were dogs, and I actually had to go to work that night, so there was just more that ticked me off than the football game did. So, you know what? That one did not get me as bad as the Cowboys loss back in the 90s.
Well, I really liked the discount double check commercials. So I was like, this Aaron Rodgers guy, he seems like a nice guy. If we're going to lose one, we might as well lose it to him. And then it turns out he's a complete nutball.
Yeah. I don't know what he's up to anymore, but it seems like every time you turn around, it's something with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, maybe we'll try to get Rashard Mendenhall on the show next week and ask him about that fumble and if he's still beating himself up over it.
Yeah.
So we'll get Rashard Mendenhall on next week and Neil O'Donnell for those 2 beautiful touchdown passes to the Cowboys.
Unbelievable, man. That year was it was a strange year. 1995-96 season, we'd started 3-4. We lost Rod Woodson in week 1 to the Detroit Lions. And then we went on to, as I said, start 3-4. We had a little bit of a turnaround, and then we won 8 straight games. And I don't know if you remember, they were coining this team the 60-Minute Men. They were making these songs about them, everything like that. It got real popular, and we ended up in the playoffs, and by luck, got by the Colts in the championship round. I don't know if you remember Jim Harbaugh throwing the Hail Mary.
At the very end. And it should have been caught. Like, was it like the tight end? I forget who was like on the ground with the ball, and it just...
in his lap.
And it just fell to the ground, Yeah, Harbaugh. Where's he going to coach?
The Chargers.
Yeah. See, that's another thing that bothers me. And you actually did mention this on the show. And in my head, I'm like, it's the San Diego Superchargers to me. It drives me crazy they're not in San Diego.
I know.
Yeah, I probably sang the song on here before. It's the San Diego Superchargers from the 70s. And it has that little, like,
I don't know how long it's going to take me to stop saying it, but when I figure it to be, when they move back to San Diego, that's right around when I'll be starting to get used to calling them the LA Chargers.
Right. Like the Los Angeles Raiders and the Oakland Raiders and the Los Angeles Raiders and the Oakland Raiders and the Las Vegas Raiders. You did have one of the losers, I believe it was Super Bowl III, was the Mayflower Baltimore Colts, was it not?
Yes, it was. It was by way of our neighbor from right up the street here in Beaver Falls, Joe Namath. He predicted that Super Bowl, and he made the Super Bowl more than a football game.
I just remember that coat he would always wear.
The fur?
Yeah. He was like Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Oh.
But, like I said, that 95-96 season, the Super Bowl that took place down in Tempe, was probably my first worst moment in Super Bowl history, and we were 4-0. This is all I knew as a kid. We were the best. Our team was the best, and we took that loss. And the fashion that we took the loss, that one hurt.
Was that like the beginning of like the Here We Go song?
Yes. We started about 2 years prior in a playoff loss to either Buffalo or the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't remember which year.
And then we lost to the Chargers.
Then we lost to the Chargers 3 more yards that game. And then the following year was the Super Bowl season.
Yeah. What are your favorite Super Bowl, memories?
I got to say, Super Bowl 40 and 43 have a ton of good memories for me. I mean, the plays that happened. It seemed like every play that the Steelers made in the latter two those two Super Bowls in particular, the greatest plays with James Harrison, his interception, 100-yard return.
Larry Fitz tackled him, but it was too late.
Larry Fitz tackled him. The play at the end of the game, of course, was Santonio Holmes catching the pass from Ben Roethlisberger to win it. And then going back to Super Bowl 40, how can you forget the 75-yard run by Willie Parker to start off the second half?
Fast Willie.
Plenty of games plenty of plays during those two particular games that I could say were my favorite.
Yeah, I remember the playoff run to play the Packers because I was going to Rochester, New York. I was working on a kitchen up there for about a month or so, a couple kitchens. A friend of mine's cousin does kitchen and bathroom models, and he was overwhelmed with work and asked us to come up and do a couple of his jobs. And we would go up every Sunday, and there was actually a Steelers bar up in Rochester that we would go to, and that's when Wiz Khalifa Black and Yellow song was out, and the girl next to me, she was there every Sunday singing it the whole game.
Yeah, Brian, there's nothing like those years for us. For being, the age that we are, mid-40s guys, those were our prime Steeler years, from Super Bowl 40, 41, 42, 43, and then even going into this 45, the one we lost to Green Bay. Those were our big memories. And until something else happens and another team comes along to do what they did or better or whatever, those are going to be my memories.
All right. Well, at the beginning of the show, Ryan, I did tell you that I went to a darts tournament this weekend. If you go to any bar, basically in Western Pennsylvania, or actually across the United States and some of the world, the dartboards say bull shooter on them. That was the 38th annual bull shooter in Green Tree. Basically, they have, I want to say, about 8 different events a year, from Chicago to Texas to New York, Pittsburgh, Florida, and a lot of local players played. I went to go see some people play and meet some of my friends up there over the weekend. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A little shout out to the 38th Bull Shooter Regional people that did well. My good friend Sidney Vaughn, he won second with Pro-Am with Anthony Duncan. He also finished first with my good friend Stacy Shelton in the mixed doubles. That's guy-girl. And he finished first with Mike Porterfield in pro doubles. My friend Tina Zekas finished second in mixed triples with Jason Leonard. He's from West Virginia. And Jules Van Doggen, the Dutch Dragon, was in town. He's a top player in the world. He was there. Stacy Shelton finished second in women's doubles with Holly Dulac. Alicia Alexander finished third in mixed triples with the Beaver County fellas, Mark Crocinelli and Andy Galvin. Donnie Stewart finished third in pro singles. Gary Kidd, my very, very good friend, finished first in men's 501 doubles with Tyler Little. Jason Leonard finished third in open cricket. Tyler Little finished second in open cricket. And the big winner for the day was Mike Porterfield from Sharon, PA. He finished first in pro cricket singles, first in Pro-Am cricket with Tyler Little, first in mixed trips with Tyler Little and Tyler Little's fiancee Jennifer, and he finished in first with men's pro doubles with Sydney Vaughn. It was a good time. I got to see a lot of people. There's 60 boards. That's 60, thousands of people there, and it was a good time. On the other side of the break here, Ryan, we're going to have Ralph Williams on. We're going to be talking a little bit Pens, a little bit of Pitt, and a little bit of the Super Bowl. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Zookie's Sports Tavern on Constitution Boulevard has the best wings and homemade sauces in Beaver County. Zookie's Sports Tavern is the perfect place to grab a bite to eat or a cold beverage before high school basketball games. Zookie's Sports Tavern has a heated and enclosed outside bar equipped with several big screen TVs and is the ideal place to watch all of your favorite sports. Don't forget to become a VIP for discounts and special offers at Zookies.com. That's Zookie's Sports Tavern on Constitution Boulevard.
In Beaver County, there are many great stories to tell. One such worthy story is that of the Drug-Free Community Support Program. Now in its fourth year of serving Aliquippa, the project has enjoyed great success through in-school interaction, education, raising awareness, and data analysis. The Drug-Free Community Support Program in Aliquippa has a mission to help local youth make better decisions regarding alcohol and drug use. For more information or to find out how you can get involved, visit Drug Free Aliquippa on Facebook.
After any big game, people will be talking. This is Ellen Bross from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. The same is true when you get your new vehicle from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Neighbors, friends, and co-workers will notice the new winning style reflected in the car, truck, or SUV you just got from Falcone's Moon Township Ford. Located on University Boulevard, across from Robert Morris. Click and save at moonford.com and discover what the talk is all about. Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Let's get grumped up. Feel like grabbing a drink with friends or enjoying a delicious meal? Stop in the Grumpy Beaver, 234 Bridge Street in Bridgewater. Try a variety of hoagies or hot dogs. Enjoy the wedge selections or a mouth-watering dessert. If you need a place to host an event, they've got that covered too. Call the Grumpy Beaver today and become a member of the Grumpy Nation. To keep up with current events, live music selections, and more, follow the Grumpy Beaver on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to check out the Spirit Speakeasy located upstairs behind the red door, Thursday through Saturday at the Grumpy Beaver.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fried Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fried Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the same part of his studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. I can finally say your name without not feeling like I'm going to mess it up.
Look at
Ryan.
you. I was thinking that. I actually thought that earlier.
I feel confident. So he's ready to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live as well as Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is a one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. On the line, we have Ralph Williams, which you can catch on Sports Corner every Tuesday here on Beaver County Radio from 4 to 6. Welcome to the show, Ralph.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I want to dive right into this real quick because, you've been on my show. I want to say this is the sixth show I've had on my own this year, and you've been on every one, and I appreciate it. And I was kind of dogging you for Pitt's men's basketball there during the middle of January, but since January 16th, they lost to Syracuse. They went on to beat Duke, Georgia Tech. They lost in a close one to Miami. They beat Wake Forest. They beat Notre Dame. Tonight they're at North Carolina State, and Tuesday they're at Virginia. What's the turnaround going on with Pitt men's basketball?
Well, Jeff Capel made some lineup changes. He had some guys that were lacking around, and so he decided to make some changes, and the changes are starting to work.
Okay, my cord is totally it's attacking me and pulling my chair away. So I apologize about that. They're 5-6 in the ACC. They have 9 games left before they go to the ACC tournament. What do you think they have to win out of those 9 to have some momentum going into the ACC tournament?
They're going to have to probably win just about every one, Brian, because they're behind the 8 ball. And, I mean, you can't lose 5 games in the conference and expect to catch up in a tough conference like the ACC. I mean, you have North Carolina, Duke. You have a bunch of teams that are just, good teams that we've had trouble beating over the years, and we need to really go on a roll. Now, I'm saying they need to win all 9 games, but if they win at least maybe 7, I think they might be able to squeeze in there.
All right. Yeah. They lost 2 to Syracuse, who I think is a terrible team. That really bothers me.
Syracuse is horrible. Jim Boeheim needs to step away.
Yeah, they lost 2 to North Carolina, which that's understandable, and then they split with Duke, which I think that's great. But that's 5 losses right there just to 3 teams.
Yes, and they're going to go down to Raleigh to a hostile environment down there. Actually, to be honest with you, Brian, Raleigh is my second favorite city behind Pittsburgh. But anyway, I had to go down there in 19 for some unforeseen circumstances. But I like Raleigh, and it's a great place. I usually stick up for NC State, but Pitt I'm going to root for in this game. But it's a tough environment down there, and a loud environment.
All right. Well, we'll be watching Pitt over the next week or two and keep up with their status. Switching to the Pittsburgh Penguins, they were back in action after the All-Star break. Real quick question: did you watch any of the All-Star break?
I did not.
Yeah, I watched the draft, and there was like Justin Bieber in there, and some like young girl that was honorable captain for Sidney Crosby's team. She's like some pop star, and she's like 20. I was not interested in all myself, but they did win last night over the Jets, and the Jets are one of the top teams in the league. Letang had a beautiful backhand shot last night. The goaltender was going to his right, and Letang went to his right, the left of the goaltender, and just put one in. And then they had a 5-minute penalty, and they scored. And everybody, yes, they scored two power play goals.
Wow. Jeez. You know what, Brian? I'm about to fall off my chair here.
Right. So
the 2 power play goals.
Yeah, in one game, not in 1 month, in one game, wow. Ralph. So, your thoughts on the Penguins moving forward and Jake Getzel staying on the team, or do you think he's going to be traded?
Well, I had Matt Vensel on from the Post-Gazette who covers the Penguins yesterday on my show. He said he doesn't think the Penguins are going to trade Gensel. Gensel will be with the team. They're working out a contract with him as we speak. They've been talking, and there's going to be a contract worked out with him. I think it's going to be a short-term contract, and then they're going to see where they go with him after that. It could be I think Matt said yesterday, about 2-year contract, maybe 3. And then if it doesn't work out, then maybe they might trade him down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you don't go to Crosby, Malkin, and Letang and say, hey, if you really want us to sign them, you guys need to take like a $500,000 pay cut or $1 million each. I mean, if you want to have buddies on your team, you got to give up some of the money.
Well, here's the way I look at this, Brian. They're trying to hold on to the core three here, the Letang, Malkin, and Crosby. They're trying to get another Stanley Cup, just like Ben played, 4 extra years to try to get a Super Bowl. So, I mean, when Ben hurt his elbow, I thought he was done with his career in football. All right? He came back, and I think he should have wrapped it up like Terry Bradshaw did. Bradshaw tried to come back when he hurt his elbow, and he tried to come back, and it didn't work out, and he ended up retiring. I think Ben should have did the same thing. I think it's time for the three of these guys to really start looking at the reality that they might not get another Stanley Cup. Now, if they don't get one in the next 2 years, I think, Brian, it's time to take a look at their contracts.
I mean, I'd be surprised if they win a playoff series, let alone a Stanley Cup in the next 2 years.
It's really that's what they're doing, Brian and Ryan. That's exactly what they're doing with the Penguins. The same concept as what the Steelers did with Ben. They held on to Ben for too long because he wanted to try to get a third Super Bowl so he could beat out Eli, because him and Eli were tied for 2 in that draft, and Phillip Rivers had none. And Ben says, I want to get a third Super Bowl so I can beat out Eli. Well, you know what? It didn't happen that way.
Yeah, J.P. Lossman also had 0 Super Bowls. He was the 4th quarterback taken in that draft by the Bills. They were really upset they didn't get Roethlisberger when we drafted him. Do you think Mrs. Roethlisberger told him to go out there and earn those couple checks in the last couple of years?
Probably. Yeah, he had to because, Brian, she's been popping them out left and right, the kids. So, I mean.
The kids aren't cheap. Mine's going to West Virginia University next year. I know how much they cost.
Hey, you know what, Brian? If we ever talk to each other privately, I have a story I want to tell you about Ben, and I think I told it to Ryan and a few other people. I had some interaction with Ben Roethlisberger in regards to his wedding.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely ask you about that the next time I see you not on the air.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it here.
Right. I can appreciate that. We are just switch gears here real quick because we probably have about 4 minutes left or so, Ralph. Give me your thoughts on Sunday's Super Bowl.
Well, I heard you guys talking earlier about Super Bowls. The Steelers, if they would have drafted Dan Marino and Bill Cowher didn't, probably would have had a little bit of a. He probably could have had Marino for a couple years and won a few more Super Bowls or whatever. He would have had a franchise quarterback. I think that we would have won a whole bunch of Super Bowls. But anyway, this Super Bowl, I'm taking Kansas City. It's going to be a dogfight. It's not going to be an easy. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I think if Kansas City doesn't make any mistakes, I think they're going to win. It's going to be by maybe 3 to 5 points.
So what you're saying, Ralph, is that Bubby Brister was not a super great quarterback all these years.
Yeah,
he won a Super Bowl with the Broncos.
Bobby was a good. Bobby was a good quarterback, Ryan, when he had Tom Moore.
Yeah.
As soon as Tom Moore left and Joe Walton took over, he was done. Okay, I interviewed Joe Walton when he took over at Robert Morris, and he told me straight up that Bubby Brister didn't understand his offense.
Yeah. I was just reading a couple of things over this week, and as I was telling Brian earlier, we were young men. You a few years older than we were. I just am now hearing that he was like really slow to the point. Bubby Brister was.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, I guess best way of putting it.
Well, he only played 6 games as a starting quarterback, and he only was with his team for his senior season. He was a baseball player.
Okay. I am learning more about Bubby this year than I think I have ever known.
Ralph, now I don't want to date you very much here, but what are your memories of the 70s Steelers in their Super Bowls?
My memory was the catch that Lynn Swann made, the one that the acrobatic move he made because he takes up ballet. Yeah, that was my memorable moment of the Super Bowl as far as the 70 Super Bowls go, and and Jack Lambert with the pushing the guy who tried to bully Roy Zarella, and then he just pushed him over. I thought that was classic.
Yeah, I was watching Mr. Rogers as a kid, and he had Lynn Swann on, and Lynn Swann actually did ballet on the Mr. Rogers show. That's how I knew he did ballet.
Yeah, I met Lynn Swann. He was running for governor.
Mm-hmm.
I was working downtown at a hotel, and I ran into him. And at the time, he was also part owner of the of the arena football team, the Power, at the time, and I met him.
Yeah, there was too many Eagles fans voting, so he did not win governor, unfortunately, huh?
Yeah, I know. That's exactly it. Yeah, you're right about that.
All right. We have about 45 seconds here, or a minute or so, whatever. Take your time, Ralph. Like, what do you typically do for a Super Bowl? What's do you go somewhere? Do you stay at home?
Do you grab one of those red cups like on Brian's right and have a great night? What do you do?
Yeah. Hey, Brian, I wanted to ask you, I guess you're dedicating your show today with that red cup to Toby Keith. Sad to hear about him, by the way.
I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to bring that up.
I saw that red cup there.
Yeah, Toby Keith. All my exes live in Texas, right?
Yeah. But anyway, I sit at home and watch it. I have a nice big screen TV here, and the best place is the TV.
All right, everyone. This is Ralph Williams. I appreciate you coming on. You could check him out every Tuesday.
Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, every Tuesday on the Sports Corner here from 4 to 6 on Beaver County Radio. Once again, thank you very much, Ralph, and I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely, and I'll see you next Tuesday if you're coming on at 5 o'clock.
Sounds perfect. All right, guys, you've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. Up next, we will have Dan Neely. We will be going over the prop bets for the Super Bowl. Make sure you stay tuned.
Do you wish that you had the support of a family in your financial institution? You can when you become a family member at Friendly Federal Credit Union. This is Cindy Haladio. If you haven't already applied for membership at Friendly Federal Credit Union, what are you waiting for? It's time for a family reunion. Join the friendliest family in Beaver County. The member owners at the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
In revolutionary times, to be a patriot meant devoting oneself to the greater good and serving one's country in order to preserve the quality of life for everyone. Being a patriot can still bring great rewards in much the same way when you engage with Patriot Home Care in the Beaver Falls area. It can happen as an in-home care and general assistance provider for your loved one, or as a place for you to serve others as a Patriot Home Care employee. Do the patriotic thing today. Call Patriot Home Care.
Zucchi's Sports Tavern on Constitution Boulevard has the best wings and homemade sauces in Beaver County. Zucchi's Sports Tavern is the perfect place to grab a bite to eat or a cold beverage before high school basketball games. Zucchi's Sports Tavern has a heated and enclosed outside bar equipped with several big screen TVs and is the ideal place to watch all of your favorite sports. Don't forget to become a VIP for discounts and special offers at Zucchies.com. That's Zucchi's Sports Tavern on Constitution Boulevard.
Let's get grumped up. Feel like grabbing a drink with friends or enjoying a delicious meal? Stop in the Grumpy Beaver, 234 Bridge Street in Bridgewater. Try a variety of hoagies or hot dogs. Enjoy the wedge selections or a mouth-watering dessert. If you need a place to host an event, they've got that covered too. Call the Grumpy Beaver today and become a member of the Grumpy Nation. To keep up with current events, live music selections, and more, follow the Grumpy Beaver on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to check out the Spirit Speakeasy located upstairs behind the red door, Thursday through Saturday at the Grumpy Beaver.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Savar.
All right, the last segment, I think I quoted the wrong song by George Strait. So you guys, welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I guess I'm not the expert at country songs. I am here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out at Beaver County Radio Facebook Live or Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. EZ Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. All right, I guess we're going to be switching gears. We're probably going to be talking about the X's and O's of the Super Bowl. We are going to be talking prop bets Super Bowl, and we don't have anybody better. We have our Bills insider, our NFL expert, our fantasy guru, the dancing destroyer, the king of sting, the Count of Monte Fisco, the prince of punch, the master of disaster, the one, the only, Dan, the man, Neely. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, it's awesome. Super Bowl Sunday, right? It's exciting.
I'm super excited. I've been addicted to the Sirius Fantasy Sports radio station all week. I added to the app to my phone so I can just nonstop binge on fantasy for the whole week.
Very nice. On Ryan's, what did you refer to it as? Not a podcast. It's a live stream.
Yes.
Yeah. On his YouTube live stream today, they went through the 57 losers in the Super Bowl, and unfortunately, right smack dab in the middle, Dan, were your Buffalo Bills 4 times in a row.
Oh, it just feels like yesterday.
Right? I mean, they could have at least beat the Giants, right? Start off 1-0, and then who knows from there.
If they would have beat the Giants.
All right. Well, let's get into the X's and O's before we get into the prop bets and whatnot. What do you see going on with this game? And I was talking to you earlier. I'm more so like in the trenches.
Yeah, great question. Pro Football Focus has a report every week. It's called the Offensive Defensive Line Report, and basically it's a plus or minus on how good you have an advantage or how bad you have a disadvantage at blocking, both pass blocking and run blocking. Pro Football Focus has the biggest advantage or disadvantage, depending on which way you want to look at it, is the 49ers defensive pass rush versus the Kansas City Chiefs pass blocking. And they have it at a negative 61, which is enormously bad for Kansas City. But on one side of that, I think that you and I both agreed in our conversation previously, I don't think that matters. It just seems like Mahomes gets the ball out before the pass rush gets there. And I think that that's one of the factors that is making this line have the 49ers favored, because Vegas knows that the game's won in the trenches. And I think that this negative 61 number is probably the biggest influence on the spread being -2 for San Francisco.
Well, you did mention Mahomes getting the ball out fast. There's a guy named Tom Brady who won 7 Super Bowls, went to 10 by doing the same thing, right?
It works. Purdy does it too, and Purdy's pass blocking is -15, which is pretty bad. I mean, that's about the borderline of bad, and it just goes to show you how -61 is really bad. And the 49ers defense, they have the best run blocking advantage out of the two teams. Their run blocking is plus 31%, which is anything. I would categorize that as an elite matchup in my normal week-to-week fantasy research. Usually anything above 20%, and I'm thinking that back is the top 5 back for the week in the whole NFL.
All right. You were also mentioning something, and I found it very surprising. Tell me a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs and their defense in the second halves.
Oh, it's been unbelievable. In the last 8 games, Kansas City has given up, on average, 4.7 points a game in the second half, which is just unheard of.
So basically you're saying the 49ers need to jump out to a big lead and hold on.
I don't know how they're able to continuously do this, but they have not given up more than 7 points in the second half in a half a season's worth of football.
Okay, Dan, I don't gamble very much. I'm not a bettor. A lot of people are, and those that aren't actually like to bet the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl. I don't know. Give us some good stuff on that.
Well, those of you who aren't into gambling very much, we'll go over first. You have your standard straight bets, and basically what that means is if you bet $100, you'll get paid back usually about $190. So they take about 10% for a normal bet. So people love to avoid having to pay that 10%. So what they do is they come up with a parlay, and a standard parlay is plus 220. And what that means is if you bet 100, you'll get back 320. And if you do a 3-prop parlay, it's plus 500. So if you bet 100, you'll get back 600. And this is what people really like to do, and the Super Bowl, because it's kind of like, I could get a scratch-off square for $50 and maybe win. Or I could put $50 on a 3-prop parlay and have a pretty good chance of hitting if I do some research. One thing that I like to avoid the paying into the site is I like just picking Kansas City and giving up some points. They're getting 2. What if you change it to Kansas City -4? I like Kansas City in this game. I think if they win, they could more than likely win by more than 4 points. If you just pick Kansas City -4 and bet $100, that pays $290. It's a pretty good bet. I like that a lot. I think it's a good starter bet if you just wanted to put one thing down and you felt good about Kansas City. Whatever you feel comfortable betting pays pretty good if you just do change the line to Kansas City -4.
Yeah, people, don't be betting your rent or whatever. If you have a few fun dollars laying around that you don't mind parting with, we don't want you to overextend yourself. I'll tell you what, Dan, the last time I bet, here's the last 2 times I bet. 2 years ago, there was a duet that was singing the Super Bowl, and they both had a lot of range, and I actually bet the over on the national anthem.
The time spent?
Yeah, I went over by like 15 seconds. It was great.
Yeah, I was listening to some stuff today, and it came highly recommended to bet the over on the time spent for the national anthem. Reba, they believe Reba will make a show out of it, and she will shine. So with that being said, it's more than likely she's going to take a little extra time for that.
Will she mention Toby Keith? Is that a bet I heard?
You know, that'll just add time.
Right. Okay, the time I bet before that, Dan, and this is how long this goes back, Peyton Manning was playing Tom Brady for the first time ever when Peyton Manning was with Denver. The over-under was like 42. I'm like, how the heck is this game not going over? I believe the Patriots on the first drive in the third quarter went over. So that's how often I bet. What else you got for the game?
Well, I tell you, with the run blocking such an advantage for the 49ers and Kansas City's pass defense being so good, I think you're crazy not to try to get Christian McCaffrey in something.
Mm-hmm.
He catches the ball a lot. 4.5 catches seems like a decent bet. 34.5 receiving yards seems like a decent bet. His rushing prop is right around 90 on most sites. They're predicting him to have 19 carries for 91 yards. I like those numbers. I would probably bet the over on those and feel pretty good. His backup, Elijah Mitchell, his prop is 3.5 yards. So basically, McCaffrey comes out for one play. They hand Mitchell the ball. He runs for 5 yards, and you can win that bet. I like that bet a lot. Pacheco, however you want to pronounce his name, 16.5 rush attempts. I love that bet. He's been over that in 5 of his last 6 games. 66.5 rush yards. I mean, Detroit really ran the ball well on San Francisco. Kansas City is just a 3-man show as far as their skill positions. They got Pacheco, they got Rice, and they got Kelsey, and you can't trust anybody else. And I wouldn't be surprised if not another guy on the team has 20 yards. And with all that being said, I like Kelsey's props. 6.5 catches, 70.5 yards. If Kansas City stands a chance to win in this game, he is going to go over. There's just no way they're going to compete if Travis Kelsey doesn't come close to those props. Now, on the other side of it, Ayuk and Samuel and Kittle all have good matchups, and I have been watching this closely all year, and I have noticed a pattern. When all 3 have good matchups, Samuel is the guy that plays well, and I have a gut feeling that he is the guy to play out of the 3. His receiving prop is 58.5 yards. Kansas City is susceptible to short passes. They give up most of their yardage within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage from the left-hand side and the right-hand side, and not so much the middle. And I think that plays right into Debo's types of targets. They're going to rely on him for some yak. and I do like Deebo Samuel over 58.5 yards. If I was going to put together a parlay with three things at plus 500, I would go Kelsey over 70.5, Samuel over 58.5, and then I would take my choice with one of these running backs, either McCaffrey or Pettico. I like both of their yardages. I think both of them would be a good idea to throw in. If you had $100 to make that bet, you could win $600.
Nice. Dan, the segment is just about out of time, so I have two really quick questions for you here. Who do you like to win the MVP, not named Mahomes or Purdy? If neither of those win the MVP, who do you like from either team?
That's a good question, Brian. I think if they were to feed McCaffrey the ball enough, he's an obvious choice. He could have won MVP for the NFL this year. He had a better year than both Mahomes and Purdy, and it's reasonable to expect that to continue. And I think that if Kansas City has a phenomenal game, I could see, Kelsey being the main benefactor.
And then get engaged after the game?
One thing they're saying is if you like the bet of Kelsey with 2 touchdowns, that's plus 500. Well, you might as well just bet Kelsey for MVP because it's going to take 2 touchdowns for him to win the MVP, and that's plus 1,200. So instead of betting Kelsey plus 2 touchdowns, look into Kelsey to win the MVP because I think they probably equate to the same thing.
All right, everybody. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-662-4357. I just wanted to put that out there. Dan, a totally different subject. Our final segment, we are going to be talking about the hottest significant others of sports athletes that attend games in the spirit of Taylor Swift being at the Super Bowl. Is there one female you recall in your lifetime that used to go to her boyfriend or husband's games, the one that sticks out to you?
Oh, absolutely. Peggy Bundy. What a smoke show. Al Bundy was a famous running back for Polk High School, and Peggy would have never missed a snap.
Perfect, Dan. Way to end the segment. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk to you real soon, Dan.
All right, good talking to you guys. Thanks.
All right, you've been listening to WBBP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports and Women, apparently.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, brought to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
It's always the right time to shop the Hopewell Shopping Center, no matter what the season, no matter what the reason. It's truly your neighborhood shopping place with such a large variety of businesses that offer food, shopping, fine dining and quick serving restaurants, personal services, and recreation. The Hopewell Shopping Center will be your one stop for everything you need whenever you need it. Just click on beavercountyradio.com, the Hopewell Shopping Center merchant directory, for a complete look of merchants today, and get shopping at your neighborhood shopping place, the Hopewell Shopping Center.
Do you wish that you had the support of a family in your financial institution? You can when you become a family member at Friendly Federal Credit Union. This is Cindy Haladio. If you haven't already applied for membership at Friendly Federal Credit Union, what are you waiting for? It's time for a family reunion. Join the friendliest family in Beaver County. The member owners at the place that makes more sense for you. Friendly Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of low prices at AK Nahas. This President's Day, get a Whirlpool washer with removable agitator for $4.99 or a GE French door refrigerator for only $12.99. Save up to $400 on KitchenAid stainless steel dishwasher with a third rack, only $7.49. Or a GE stainless steel print resist dishwasher for $6.29. Plus free local delivery, setup, and removal. Save more this President's Day only at AK Nahas Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV. You'll do okay with AK.
Now, back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He is ready to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out at Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. That's the letter E, the letter Z, Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior modeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008, 412-678-7008. Ryan, we have about 10 minutes or so left of the show. I've been looking forward to this for about a week. Since September, Taylor Swift has been dating the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes.
And she will, she's an environmentalist and she really cares about the environment. So she's going to take a private jet from Japan to the United States just to make it in time for the Super Bowl. I wonder what that does to the environment, Taylor.
If that isn't the most American thing that you've ever said, you know what I mean?
Right. So today, this segment is, in my opinion, my one man's opinion, and I hope to get Ryan's opinion of the hottest significant others of sports athletes. I got a list here about 20 names, Ryan, and maybe we'll pick our top 2 or 3 or something. Right. Okay. We're going to start off with a young girl, Olivia Dunn. We're going to get to know her a lot. She is the Pittsburgh Pirates' girlfriend, the number 1 draft pick, Paul Skeens. She attended a game in Altoona, and I want to say Erie with him. Okay.
All right.
J-Lo, A-Rod's. I remember there was a picture of J-Lo and her husband and then A-Rod in the picture, and it was just then she dated A-Rod right after that. Yeah. One of my favorites, Eva Longoria, who used to date the San Antonio Spurs' Tony Parker. Then there's always the 1990s decade crush, Carmen Electra, who stole Dennis Rodman mid-season and took him to Vegas from the Chicago Bulls, and Michael Jordan had to go pick up Rodman and take him back to the team. There's Carrie Underwood. Her boyfriend or husband, Mike Fisher's a hockey player. Carrie Underwood, as we all know. Are you ready for some football with those legs? Alicia Cuthbert? I can never pronounce that.
Alicia?
Yes. She was in The Girl Next Door. I don't know. Actress.
Who is our...
Dawn Phaneuf.
Dawn Phaneuf.
Toronto Maple Leafs player.
Okay, gotcha.
Vanessa Hudgens. We all remember the great shortstop the Pirates had, Cole Tucker.
Yeah.
He had pretty hair. Okay, you might not remember. You might not know this name though. It's a soccer player's wife, Victoria Beckham.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard
the
that
Spice
one.
Girls, right?
I might have heard that.
Right. Okay. Here's another one you probably don't know. Gisele Bündchen. She dated some. I forget who she dated. Oh, who did she date? I think he played. I think he played quarterback in the NFL. I can't remember.
One I've never heard of. Yeah.
All right. All fun there. Sierra, the pop singer, who is currently married to the future starting quarterback of your Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson. Yes, you heard it here, folks. Russell Wilson will be your starter. All right. Then we have Kate Upton. Kate Upton, the actress. That's Justin Verlander's woman, or Justin Verlander's Kate Upton's man, however you want to go. Amelia Vega. She was Miss Universe when she turned 18. She is Al Horford of the Celtics. Al Horford's woman.
Okay.
All right. Here's another name you may not know, Ryan. A lot of people out there probably don't know. Kim Kardashian.
No.
Does it ring a bell? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. She was married to Chris Humphries for almost as long as Britney Spears was married to that one dude. It was an hour long.
Dancer or something. Yeah.
Then there's Kendall Jenner. She dated Jordan Clark in the NBA, Blake Griffin in the NBA, Ben Simmons in the NBA, Devin Booker in the NBA, and the list goes on and on and on. Kendall Jenner.
Okay.
Kendra Wilkinson. And she's with Hank Baskett. Another one of my favorites, Kerry Washington. And I have no idea how to pronounce her husband's name, but he played for the Eagles. So I'm not even going to get into that one.
Okay.
There's too many vowels.
So
we have 3 more.
Okay.
And then I'll have an honorable mention. Gabrielle Union. That is Dwayne Wade's wife.
Okay.
Shakira, surprise, surprise, dating a soccer player, Gerard something. Lots of vowels again.
All right.
Okay. And then we have two more. One of my favorites. She was Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift, Jessica Simpson, and Tony Romo. I believe he threw all of her things over his gate at his house, all of her belongings at one point in time during the breakup.
You know, if it went over the gate, it makes you wonder where it was really supposed to go if it was thrown by Tony Romo.
Yeah. It was supposed to be packed away nice and neat.
Yeah.
He threw it away. Okay. I do have an honorable mention. I do have to mention Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf's husband. So Andre Agassi, Amel did make my list. He's on there. Very entertaining tennis player.
First off, I want to say you did some really good homework. I'm going through this, and I've heard a lot of these names. I've heard the athletes. I've heard the their significant others. But you put a lot of work into this, and I don't know if I could have ever done as good as you had. So many interesting ones. A lot that I've forgotten about. Even back to the Carmen Electra back in that when you mentioned the Bulls series. But very, very impressed by your work and your research.
I do my due diligence for the show. It's all about the show. It's all about the audience, Ryan. It is not about the women.
Okay.
And what's really okay? The depressing part about this is all of these women are dating somebody or married.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't they single?
Some of the couple of the more interesting ones that I see. I wrote this list down as you were.
Give me like a top 5 there.
Well, I just want to say that Kendall Jenner dating all of the NBA, I thought was one of my favorites.
Right, like her All-Star team could beat like the West's All-Star team this offseason.
Absolutely, no reason to send the NBA play. No. Listen, all right. So Kendall Jenner, I thought that who else? Carmen Electra, I thought that was entertaining. Carrie Underwood, she's an amazing looking woman. What does she date? A hockey player? You said?
Yeah, Mike Fisher.
Okay,
or they're married, maybe. I to be honest with you, the details of the relationship, I didn't dig into.
Yeah. But, like this Kate Upton and Justin Verlander, I mean, there's a lot of interesting relationships that I didn't even realize were relationships, Brian. And again, I got to give you all the credit here. It's very, very well put together.
Yeah. I mean, it took me all week to come up with this list. The rest of the show I prepared for about 3 seconds.
Didn't Eva Longoria date Evan Longoria for the Tampa Bay Rays back in the day?
I thought you said something like that last week. I just remember her relationship with Tony Parker.
Okay, and you could be right.
She was on the Desperate Housewives in her prime, right?
I think so. And for some reason, just because their names were so similar, I thought they were, but you know what? I could be wrong.
We'll have to figure that out for next week.
Yeah. And Paul Skeens, as long as he keeps that mustache, I don't know how much longer Olivia Dunn can hang around. Come on.
Right. Oh, my phone's ringing. I got a suspected spam caller. Thanks for calling right in the middle of the show, suspected spam. All right, so is there one or two that stand out just looks-wise, or that your memory of seeing them attending games? I guess that's my point. Of course,
Jessica Simpson. I mean, that was a big thing with Tony Romo. That was the original Taylor Swift, in my opinion.
I remember her wearing his uniform, but she had on the pink.
Yeah,
one during probably October.
Right. She had the cowboy type jeans on, and she had her pink cowboy shirt on.
She was in the Dukes of Hazzard movie. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, with Johnny Knoxville and the other fella,
Stifler.
Yes. But no, you know what? These are all very interesting, Brian. Again, you did a lot of great work. I think that all these women are very good looking. Shakira is one of my favorite right off the top. I do like her a lot.
Yes,
a lot
her
of these
hips don't lie, just like Sidney Crosby.
Anyway, of course, Vanessa Hudgens and Cole Tucker. All these girls are beautiful. They're all amazing looking people. I don't think that I could grade them, so I'm going to go ahead and let you do your thing and take us out of here, man.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with my top 3 here. Victoria Beckham. Is definitely, she stood the test of time.
Yes.
Shakira, is up there for me. She's our age, Ryan.
Yeah.
And she looks better than, well, obviously she looks better than we ever looked. But the one that stands out the most to me is Eva Longoria. And I believe Tony Parker cheated on her constantly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of these people, as I said, Brian, and I think that's a very good top three. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the Sidney Crosby reference, but you know what? I have a whole week to do that.
Right. Before that, does Taylor Swift does she beat out anybody on this list for you?
No.
So she's not in your top 20.
To be honest, and not to rip on her, because a lot of people are doing that right now, I just honestly, don't give me, listen, I'm not a statue. You know what I mean? I'm not a Greek god, but by any means, do you really think that Taylor Swift is more attractive than half these people on this list? I think Taylor's very average looking. If she wasn't a billionaire and wasn't a singer and she worked at Walmart in your neighborhood, you might say, oh, that girl's good looking, but would you really put her in this list?
She is nowhere near this list.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right. Well, we got into some Super Bowl. We got into some women. We got into some Pitt basketball. It was a great show. Did you have fun, Ryan?
I had a blast. And how many hours do you say it is every week? 167?
There's 168 hours in a week. So in between shows, we have 167 hours.
So I have a lot of time to try to figure the Sidney Crosby's hips reference out. And I think this one is going to be the thing that sticks with me the most, unfortunately.
All right. Well, special thanks to Ralph Williams from the Sports Corner here, 4 to 6 on Tuesdays. And special thanks to Dan Neely for joining us today. And once again, a special thanks to Ryan Garazunas, the best producer in the world. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will see you back in 167 hours.
You've been listening to One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio. Don't forget, you can watch the show on WBVP-WMBA Facebook page anytime. Tune in next Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale on Beaver County Radio.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver